Great. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's Wednesday. It is 7 o'clock. Welcome, welcome. Can we all welcome each other by waving our hands with a big smile on? Welcome. This is a very special day for me. You know why? Because we are doing something which we have never done before. We never had a guest into our community. And Ashdin, thank you so much for choosing to be the first guest in our community. And there's a very special reason why I chose you to be my first guest. I'll definitely tell you more about Asdin and the way we connected and everything. But right now, first thing first, let's bring it on. So everybody say, bring it on. Let's start the session with some hand exercises. So let's focus on bringing the mind and the body together, and let's prepare ourselves for the most exciting session. So everybody, let's start with the first exercise position. Let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. Now shift over to the other hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rub your hands. Let's go to the second exercise. Position everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shift over to the other hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rub your hands, everybody. Let's go to the third exercise. And the third exercise, let's focus on bringing flexibility in this part of our hand. Let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And just realign your hands. One more round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rub your hands. Let's go to the fourth exercise. Position everybody. Let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And just realign your fingers. One more round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rub your hands. Let's go to the fifth exercise. Position everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One more round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rub your hands. Let's go to the sixth exercise. Position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And shift over to the other hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rub your hands. And the last exercise, we're going to be focusing on this part. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shift over the other hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rub your hands, everybody, and rub it across your body so the vibration be felt. So welcome, everybody. So go ahead, turn your video on, and let's bring in some energy into the hall. Let's begin with the understanding what is this session today and what is the agenda for today's session. And today's topic is habits for success. And I have an amazing person to talk about it. And before that, let's understand the flow of today's session. The first agenda is we're going to be starting with our code of honor so that we recreate and identify what we stand for as a community and what is that which we are promoting as a community and how we are actually contributing back to the world. And number two is, yes, we have a very special guest, and he will be taking us through this beautiful journey of understanding the habits which we can develop about and how we can be the success in our every aspect of our life. And number three is question answer round. Yes, you'll all get a chance to interact. You can ask your questions and we can all learn with your questions. And proceeding further, we'll also have acknowledgements and sharings and announcements. So first thing first, let's recreate our code of honor. This is for everybody. And those of you who are attending this session for the first time and our guest here, as an organization, as an individual, as a person, we all have a beautiful ability to create a code of honor. And we are all committed to stand by. And this is a list of code of honors which we have created as a community. And we all are, standing by this code of honor. And the first one is being resourceful. Our focus in our life is we have to be resourceful in every dimension, in every area of your life. If you're a parent, our focus is to be the most resourceful as a parent to your children. If you're a business owner, how you can be the most resourceful in every area of your business. If you're an individual, how you can be resourceful to whatever you do in your life. And if you're a handwriting analyst, we want you to be resourceful so that you can add value to other people's life. So our thrive in our life is how we can actually add up more and more insightful information and learning so that we can enhance our resourcefulness so that we can give back to the society. So stop from being a consumer and becoming a contributor. Number two, the idea and the focus about being in this community is we know a lot of things. We know how to lose weight. We know everything about everything. But the most of us experience the challenge is the doing part. How many of you agree with me? Give me a big yes if you agree with me on that. So the idea about this community is how we can look up learning certain skills so that we can push ourselves from the knowing to the doing mode. And the third one is very important part, and that is the power of practicing clarity. If you can bring in this 0 or 1, yes or a no clarity in your life, and that's what most of us are in middle of the road category. Most of us are on the fence with many things in our life. But the power of being existent, the power of being a contributor is the power of practicing the power of clarity. And we enhance this, we talk about this in our programs, and this is some of the key elements we stand by and committed to being responsible in every dimension of life. My teacher had this very beautiful insight and a principle which I also follow, say that, Imran, you have to be responsible for your happiness and your health. So your happiness and your health is your personal responsibility. And if you don't own up, that's where the lack of commitment happens. And that's why we actually lose out on being who you are. And we expect others to contribute to our life. You look for happiness in others. You look for health in other aspects of it. No, it all starts from you. And one of the most important things, and one of the reasons we all are connected together so very well, even though we come from so many different backgrounds, so much of different intellectual background is, give back to the society and contribute back to the science and contribute back to the society. And number 4 is it's always about transformation starts from you, and from you, it should go to others, and from others, it should actually grow as a very beautiful tree with multiple branches, and the true roots are getting stronger and stronger. So this is a code of honor, and I really want you to focus on this. And one of the things I always tell everybody, whoever I come in contact with, is list down what is your code of honor. And if you don't have a code of honor in your life, be ready to start working for others who have a code of honor, who have defined their code of honor, and you'll end up, following those code of honors without even creating yours. So what is important is you need to know what you do, what you don't do, what you're committed, what you stand for, what you don't do it. And if you have not written down your code of honor, don't sleep tonight without doing it. Because if you don't have a rule or principle in your life, then that's where the problem is. That's where the problem is. Okay. So this is how it's going to be. And without taking much of your time, I think it's time to reach out to our guest and everybody. It's my pleasure to have this person with us. And that's Ashdin Doctor. So everybody say hello to Ashdin there. And a little bit of information about Ashdin before I proceed further. So let me just bring on Ashdin onto the screen and into the spotlight. So can we see some love for Ashdin there? Come on, everybody, say, bring it on, Imran. Bring it on, Imran. Let's have Ashdin there. Great. So before I ask Ashdin anything, as a question or ask him to get started, but I want to tell you a little bit about Ashdin, which you need to really understand. And this is also for Ashdin. Ashdin, when I was actually going through your introduction, and for the first time, I'm actually formally understanding who you are and what you do in your life. And that got reminded me of a very beautiful thing, which my teacher actually gave it to me. And one of my mentors is Blair Singer, and he says this very beautifully: take your mess and convert that into a message. And that's how you want to contribute back to your life. And this exactly what, and no wonders we bonded so well, because the beautiful thing about Ashdin is when he, was working, he realized he was not sleeping enough. He was not really taking care of his health. And he saw that, okay, he needs to really stand up for his own self, his own health and happiness. And he started working towards it. And he understood the mess, what he created for himself, and he converted that mess into a message. And today he is such an influential person. People who are stuck in their life in many areas, including health, including relationship, including about, prioritizing things in our life. One conversation with Ashdin or one podcast listening of Ashdin changes things. And you have this wonderful energy and the blessing of the Almighty Ashdin that, when you speak, people actually notice. And not only notice, one thing I really, really envy about you is that you make people take action. How do you do that? Just by speaking. Because, we don't even meet you. We don't even get to see that. But everybody I meet who has heard your podcast, they take actions. They started applying certain methodologies, certain principles which you follow. And today they have created awesome results for themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Ashdin Doctor for you. He's a founder of Awesome 180. And one of the things I really understood about his message to the entire community and the people out there is, look at, there are certain fundamental behaviors which we always ignore. How many of you agree with me on that? Because for us, getting the job done is more important. Clocking the deal is more important. But certain fundamental aspects don't really resonate well with us. Look at sleep quality. When was the last time you even thought about it? Look at the, nutrition part of it. We are the people who are only, eating to exist, or maybe sometimes we're eating just to survive, or we just have to get through it. Lunch to naam ke liye lunch kiya jata hai. So some of the fundamental things, and you know what Ashdin did was he brought in all these fundamental behaviors, and he actually started talking about it, and he saw results for himself, and he actually started using that quality of sleep, movements, the exercise, de-stressing, hydration, and many more things. So Ashdin, before I even ask you to get started, let me tell you a little bit about the community we are here for. We are all our handwriting analysts. We have this beautiful skill which helps us to connect with people just by looking at their handwriting. All of them come to this community to learn something, but in the process, they empower themselves so much that they actually go back more committed. And all of us are, connected, and all of us relate to each other beautifully. You know why? Deep down, we all want to be contributors back to the society. And Ashdin, true to your commitment, this is what the community is also there. And it's really, really great to have you. So ladies and gentlemen, let's hear a big round of applause for Ashdin Doctor there. Ashdin, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Guys, I'm so excited to be doing this. But first, let's get this chat box up, because I love interacting with my audience. And on Zoom, luckily, you have a fantastic community that has actually put on your videos. Otherwise, I've had entire workshops where it's just me looking at myself. So now we're going to use the chat box and we're going to interact over there, because there will be sudden ideas that, I talk about. You'll have aha moments. You want to share something, just put it in the chat box. Okay. Don't stress out about it. Should I not? Just put it in. Okay. So I'm going to start with the question to you all. We're talking about habits for success. How many of you have a clear definition of what success means to you? Just yes, I have a definition, or no, I don't. So just yes or no. I want to see what, right? All right. No, yes, yes, yes. All right. Raise my volume. Is this better?
Yeah, if you can increase a little more, it'd be a good idea. Yes.
Perfect. Is this much better?
Yeah, this is better. Awesome.
All right. Awesome. Okay, so we got a mixed bag. Lots of yeses, which I'm very happy about. Now all the no's are coming. Okay, fantastic. Great. So, it's very important for us to first understand what success is. Like Imran was talking about my journey. And let me tell you a little bit about that, because that will show you both the success part and the habits part. When I started off, I come from a family business background. Now, typically when you have a family business background, what is it? You have this whole spotlight on you, right? Everybody's watching you. You believe that you have to live up to this standard. You have to outperform your parents. You have to show everybody. You have to, and as a result, what starts happening in your mind is your definition of success is related to what other people will think of me. And that definition of success becomes skewed. As a result, you're constantly chasing and chasing and chasing. You become on a hamster wheel. So when I was working and I was doing all of this, everything had become tunnel vision. It was only what I was going to be doing at work. Everything else had fallen to the wayside. So as a result, I was doing very, very well at work. I had started my own division. Obviously, it had to be the fastest growing division in the company, the most profitable division in the company. That was the mindset. And as a result, everything went to the wayside. My relationship that I was in was a toxic relationship. That also was adding to my pressure. So it was stress at work, stress at home, and everything was piling on, right? As a result, one fine day, what did my body decide to do? It said, Chalo, dukan band. I am shutting shop. I was getting ready for one presentation one day and I collapsed on the floor. Now, this was about the age of, say, when I was 29, 30, 30, 31. At 30, 31, collapsing on the floor out of stress and exhaustion is a very, very scary thing. And that suddenly stuck in my mind, right? And the strange thing about having your success parameters not defined well is that I was lying on the floor, covered in sweat, heart almost beating out of my chest, didn't know what to do. And there were two sides, there were two voices in me. One voice was saying, "Oh my God, are you having a heart attack? Are you going to die? You are 30, you're too young to die." And then there was another side of my head that was saying, "Good job, Ashdin. You actually worked so hard that you collapsed on the floor." Now imagine that, right? So our success parameters are so skewed because we don't know what it is that we really want and which direction that we should be heading in. So one of the first things that we have to start doing is first defining what this success means to us and what it means to who? To us, not to what somebody else, not to what our family thinks, not to what our neighbors think, right? We're constantly doing things for our neighbors. We're constantly trying to show success to people we don't like ourselves. Right? So how do we start understanding what success means to me and creating that? You are all in the field of helping others, like Imran was saying, right? That means you have to show what success means to you because you have to be very clear on it, especially in this way that you're helping others. So I was at that point of time overweight because I had not cared about my food. Like butter chicken and jeera rice was standard meal. I was already earning lots of money, so I could go out for fancy dinners. I could eat lots more. For all you can eat buffet is even better than anything else. So the concept only was not there. Sleep non-existent. I used to sleep 4 hours a night. Why? Because you'll sleep when you're dead. No, why you have to worry? Sleep is for the weak. You know how many times have we played these things in our mind while we were growing up? And as a result, all these became my belief system. Exercise? Why would I exercise? I had a fancy car. I would drive to the shop. Why would I need to walk? Only losers walk. Only idiots walk. Like, why would I want to do something like that? So you realize you're creating these unknowing habits in your life. So when I started and when I had this realization, I realized that I cannot live my life like this. Something has to change. Cannot continue like this. And being the typical type A person, you know, type A, right? Everything has to be an extreme. Everything has to be number one. I had a nice big paunch. So what was my type A goal that I would set for myself? Get a six pack, right? What else would you do as a type A goal? So I set myself this goal of get a six pack. And that's when I started working on myself. And I tried every single diet known to mankind, every single exercise plan known to mankind. And I just kept failing and failing and failing at them. I didn't understand what was going on till I created a system. And once that system happened, within a year, the six pack took place. And it all happened so naturally that it didn't register to me. But what was interesting is that I would then go to, parties and weddings and stuff like this. And then people would look at me and say, "Arey Ashtin, how did you do this? Tell us also, na? Give me two tips. Give me 3 tips. Don't we all do this when we go to a party? Tell me now how you did. I also want to." First thing we do is, you lost weight, you put on weight. You lost weight, you put on weight. First conversation every time we have when we meet people. So that's when I realized that I would tell them, I did this, then I did this, then I did this. And they would all politely listen to me for 10 seconds. And then they would say, "Arey Baba, I don't think I can do what you're doing. You're too hardcore. You have too much motivation. You have too much self-discipline. I can't do what you're doing." And that's when the penny struck in my mind. How many times have we given that same excuse? Those people can do it, but I can't. I don't have the motivation. How many times have you said, I'm not as motivated today? How many times have you said, I'm not disciplined today? Doesn't it happen? Right? So as a result, we don't start because we are too scared that we will fail. Now this stuck in my head. And I was saying, how do I help people to get out of this mess? So my habit coaching was born from this idea. Because what I realized was I hadn't made too many big changes. All I'd done was I figured out how to make each of these small habits that over the year compounded into something big. Normally, we have motivation and we start off with full gusto, right? How many of us have started a diet tribe? Yes. And how many of us have failed doing it, right? Started diet, failed. Why? Exactly. Yes, started diet, failed, started diet, failed. Because what happens is we start with motivation. And the problem with motivation is that it has a peak and it has a crash, right? How long does motivation last? Few days if you're lucky, few hours at most, right? When you suddenly see someone, you get inspired, and acha, I will also do that, full on. And then after that, fuss, right? So as a result, what happens is that started a diet and succeeded. Good job, right? So what happens when you actually use motivation? Motivation is like a matchstick. You cannot cook your meal on a matchstick. You need that motivation to go to somewhere else. You need to light something else. So as a result, I realized that motivation was the enemy in this stage. So my entire motivation in life is to get rid of motivation, right, from people's minds, because I realized that because of it, people don't start. So then what I realized was that we have to then start identifying something that is far more powerful than motivation, which is a word called intention. And everything starts with intention. All right. If you want to remember this, if you got notes, take your notes down. If you don't have notes, type it in the chat box so that you get you guys are masters of
Yeah, we
handwriting and
love
knowing your.
writing. Yeah, we
Yeah,
love writing, so
I
we're all
just
going to be writing.
I just realized that after you said it a bit more. So intention, exactly, right? So what happens is that when you have an intention, you have a very deep reason for doing it. So how do we create our intention? And this is the main reason, and this is where it starts. Once you know where your success lies and what you have to do, you have to realize why you want to be successful in that thing. If you don't realize that you have a strong why, don't try it out. Probably that is not why you want to be successful. Okay. So how do we do this? We do the 3 why exercise. The 3 why exercise. It's very simple. You ask yourself why. I want to be successful in this. I want to help 100 people. Why do I want to help 100 people? I want to help 100 people because I know that those 100 people will go and help another 100 people. Whatever you go, so you ask why first, then you come to a deeper why, then you go to a deeper why, right? So let's take the example. My favorite example is from a client of mine who wanted to start doing yoga. So I said, why do you want to start doing yoga? I want to start doing yoga because I want to become more flexible. Okay. Why do you want to become more flexible? I want to become more flexible so that I don't have pain when I sit on the ground. Right. So now this is the second why. Third why. Why do you want to not have pain when you sit on the ground? So that I can play with my child and I don't miss out on the fun. Now you've gotten to something that is proper and deep. You want to do yoga so you can have a chance to play with your child. You don't want to do yoga because you got new yoga pants, because you got a new yoga mat, because your neighbor started doing yoga. How many times do we have our goals set like that? Na? वो भागने लगी, मैं भी भागूंगा. Right? That person started doing marathon, I will also do marathon. That person started doing this, I will also do this. What is the reason? Right? And this is a very personal journey. So you don't necessarily need to share it with people. Right? Everyone is has a different definition of success. Some people's definition of success might be helping 100 people. Some people's definition of success might be reaching a certain target of money. Some people's definition of success might be giving their child a good education in a particular college. But the idea is that you have to have a very clear definition of what that success is, almost to a number level. So you know that that you've arrived. Because what happens very often is that you might set a success parameter, and then what happens? You never know when you've reached it. So you're constantly on that treadmill only, going and going and going and going and going and going and going. When is it going to end? So unless you have that number, you don't know where it's going to end. So when you think about success as a parameter, please have that number in it, whether it's money, whether it's this, whether it's that. And it doesn't have to be something dramatic. One of my favorite stories about success was about my driver. When I was growing up, we had a family driver who was, when I was this much to that much, he was with us, and he had some 6 children, all were daughters. And we asked, and in my innocence, in one of my things, I said, what is the meaning of life? Munir was his name. I said, what is the meaning of life, Munir? And he says, for me, it's very simple. I just want to see all my 6 daughters married. That was his definition of success, right? Didn't have anything dramatic, didn't want to buy a Mercedes and then drive a Mercedes and show you, maine dekho, my driver tha, abhi main Mercedes chala raha hu. None of that. I just wanted to get my 6 daughters married. So you have to define what success means very, very personally to you, not clouded by what other people think, and you don't even need to share it with someone. That then becomes your intention on why you want to start doing these things. Okay. Now, once you have this intention in place, believe me, that is almost half the battle right there. Okay. Now comes the next part, which is the action. And this is what Imran was saying, that how do you make people actually take action on things? Because that is where most of us intellectually understand, but physically don't do anything. So the whole part about taking action is to understand that action does not have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be greater than life. It doesn't have to make people say, wow, you're actually waking up at 4:30 a.m. and doing this and doing that and doing this and doing that, right? We're not doing it to impress others. We're doing this so that we achieve success. So very often what we do is we try and make our goal worthy. It has to be dramatic, which is why we fail. We straight away go to the hardest possible version of our diet. We straight away go to the highest possible version of our exercise plan. We straight away go to the highest possible version of the work that we are doing without taking the steps towards it. So as a result, in order to not fall into that trap, what I've done is I've created 3 golden rules for habits. Okay. These 3 golden rules are very simple. Let's go. Please take your notes and write in your perfect, beautiful handwriting. So jealous. Although mine is improved, Imran, I was writing on the whiteboard and I was like, wow, I can read what I've written. So it's just like full marks.
Thank you.
So the first golden rule of habit change is make it stupidly small. Okay. If you want to write in the chat box, write in the chat box. If you want to write it out in paper, write it out in paper. Stupidly small. Okay. Now I've chosen my words carefully. All right. How can you use stupidly? No, stupidly small. I want it to be. What does it mean? That the action that you choose to take should be so small that if you don't do it, you feel stupid not doing it. Okay. You should feel like, I couldn't even do this much. You should feel like that's stupid. So it drives you to be able to do it. So for example, taking the yoga example, what is the stupidly smallest thing that you can do? So what I said is your yoga habit starts by rolling out the yoga mat and sitting on it. Did I say you have to do 10 Surya Namaskars, 35 this? Nothing. Just sit on that yoga mat. Now that you're sitting on the yoga mat, maybe you'll do this, maybe you'll do anasana, maybe you'll stretch, maybe you'll do a few Surya Namaskars, etc. But the starting point is the hardest, getting on that yoga mat. So you just have to sit on that yoga mat. Now, if you can't do that even once in a day, you will feel very stupidly small, stupid not being able to do that. And that is the goal of this particular step, this golden rule. So when you're thinking about your journey to success and the actions that you need to be taking, what is the stupidly small thing that you have to do in order to become successful? What is the smallest possible action that you can take to make it successful, make yourself successful? That is golden rule number 1. Everyone with me? Making sense? Yes. Golden rule number 1. Golden rule number 2 is make it extremely easy. EE. Make it extremely easy. What does make it extremely easy mean? Making it extremely easy means I am asking you to remove all your possible excuses from not doing this. Okay. What are the kinds of excuses that we have? I don't have time, right? I don't have space. Not today, I'm not feeling well. Whatever comes up in your mind as an excuse, you have to start removing. And in this process, what we're doing is removing friction from the process. Friction is that, that, why is it so hard to do this? Correct? We're removing friction. It should be like oil, smooth, like butter. Push. It should take place. Now, what is friction in this yoga example? Imagine if that same yoga mat I had to put on top of my cupboard there, where I had to take a ladder, climb up that ladder, put it up every day, climb up that ladder, take it out, put it down. You think it's going to happen? Not going to happen. Too many steps, too much friction. So as a result, what you have to do is you have to realize how to make it extremely easy. So for example, the same thing when I go to a hotel room, for example, what I do is I roll out my yoga mat in the hotel room. So there's always an opportunity to go and sit on it. I don't have an excuse not to go and sit on it. Now I'm lying down, maybe I'll do a few push-ups. Maybe I'll do a little planking. Maybe I'll do this. So I'm constantly now getting into the habit of making that physical movement a priority. I've removed friction. I don't have to go down to the hotel gym and then work out or anything like that. I remove friction. So what are the things that prevent you from doing the action that you want to take? What are the things that are adding resistance in the action that you want to take? The second golden rule removes this from your life. Okay? Figure out where the excuses come from and then say, now what can I do? Like a food example is, you'll notice that all the junk food is lying outside, all the healthy foods in the kitchen, in the chiller tray at the bottom, right? Why? So the packet of chips that are outside, all those need to go up in the cupboard somewhere, which makes it hard to reach, and all the good stuff needs to come out, making it easy to reach. So start looking at your life like this and start seeing what aspects can I start tweaking to remove friction from everything that I'm doing, and hence making it easier to do the good stuff. And the same way to do the bad stuff, add friction, right? So make it harder to do all the bad stuff that you've been wanting to give up and not do. So that way you can start using the second golden rule to your advantage. Okay. The third golden rule to habit change is what talks about consistency. And this golden rule simply states, never miss 2 days in a row. So simple. Never miss 2 days in a row. Why do I say never miss 2 days in a row? Because very often we get very hung up. I will do it every day, right? And then you start doing it every day. And then what happens if you miss it one day? Then guilt sets in. You see, oh my God, I'm such a loser. I can't do it even for that one day. You're useless. I'm worthless. And you start that thought process starts. I knew I could not do it. And then you stop doing it. Correct? So as a result, what we want to do is give you permission, because you're human beings. You're not a robot. So many of us have heard that 21 days to form a habit. You've all heard 21 days to form a habit, right? That means if you do it for 21 days in a row, it's become a habit. Like a habit is an end goal. So what happens if you suddenly miss the 20th day? Khatam. All your hard work over? No, right? That's not how life works. But the problem is that we are human beings. We're not robots. Life gets in the way. Say suddenly your child fell sick. Say you fell sick. Say you had to go for a wedding. Say there was a party. Something happened and you could not do that habit. Even though it was extremely small and stupidly small and extremely easy, you could not do that habit. So what? Allow yourself that one day. But then, come what may, the next day you do it. Even the smallest version of that, you do it. No matter, no excuse, nothing, you do it that day. So how does this work practically? Monday, you did the habit. Tuesday, you did the habit. Wednesday, life came in the way. Didn't happen. Thursday, come what may, you do that habit. Okay. This way, you've built consistency. Never miss 2 days in a row. As a result, you soon realize that you can't just do something for twice a week and create a habit, because then obviously you're missing more than 2 days in a row, right? We're trying to build consistency. So the more repetition that you get with this, the better. There's a reason why Imran in all his courses says, every day you have to do this. How many times I argued with him? No, every day you have to do this. And then that's what's going to make it, right? So you start with this process, because the repetition is what's going to make it better and better and better. And it's that consistency that makes it grow, right? So we understand these three golden rules of habit change. And when we get this, life suddenly becomes so much more simpler. Now you can take that success that you had planned in your life, and you can then break it up into different things in smaller chunks, making it easy and never missing 2 days in a row. You see, very often we get so obsessed with the end destination. When will this become a habit? When will this become a habit? When will this become a habit? We become anxious, right? That is not the point, because the point of a habit is to for you to grow with that habit. So you will say, that means for the rest of my life, all I have to do is stand on my yoga mat. That's it. No, because when standing on your yoga mat becomes easy, you'll say, you know what, I've actually for the last 1 month been doing 10 Surya Namaskars every day. Now that is your stupidly small habit. And 10 Surya Namaskars become a stupidly small habit. So then slowly it starts increasing to half an hour of yoga that you're doing every day. For example, if there is a yoga instructor who's starting this, her starting point is not sitting on the mat. Her starting point is probably doing 1 hour of yoga every day. So we are all starting at different stages. You have to figure out what is stupidly small for you. And you have to figure out what is your growth journey with this. Ultimately, that's going to lead you to that point of success. Right? Now, I know we're all very intelligent people, and hence we know the things that are actually holding us back, and we know the things that we need to do. How many of us know what we have to do? Right? And how many of us are actually doing it? Difficult, correct? The point of today's session was, I want you all to become masters at the doing part, because your heart's in the right place, your knowledge is in the right place. What is left now? The doing, correct? And that doing is going to lead to that success, that success, that success. So what I was thinking is, once we understood this basic, let's start by either defining success for ourselves in our head, or in the question answer session, which is going to be coming up shortly, let's start sharing the pitfalls that we've had in our journey. So what are the things that you've tripped up on? What are habits that you wanted to create? And let's almost use this as a, as a one-on-one group kind of a session, about where we individually target these things, and I'll show you what are easy ways of making it something that you can do. But remember, whenever you start a habit, you have to have that intention. Why is this doing? Right? If you want to start a reading habit, why do you want to start a reading habit? If you want to start waking up early, I'm sure some people want to start waking up early, right? Why do you want to start waking up early? Let me tell you a funny story. So there was this client of mine, okay, massive industrialist, okay, typical type A person, hard, extreme, this, that, all of this. So he comes to me and says, Ashdin, from tomorrow onwards, I'm going to start waking up at 5 o'clock. He used to wake up at 8 o'clock. Huh? So I said, okay, why do you want to start waking up at 5 o'clock? You don't understand. Everybody says you should start waking up at 5 o'clock. That is the number one thing for success. All successful people start waking up at 5 o'clock. I was like, okay, I'm not a part of this thing. This is you are doing by yourself. See what happens. So the next day, diligently, he set up his alarm, woke up at 5 o'clock. By the time I woke up, and I wake up around 5:36, he's messaged me saying, Ashton, I'm so bored. I have no idea what to do with myself. Why am I waking up at this time? I'm just like kicking myself. The point is, he didn't have an intention to, he didn't have a reason to be waking up at 5. There was no intention. There was no reason. So as a result, he woke up and didn't know what to do with himself. So very often we fall into these traps. These are good things to do. But says who? I know 5 a.m. club, Robin Sharma would have said that. But only if you have something to do, and if you follow his those half an hour practices that happen afterwards, only then does it make sense. So as a result, whenever you want to start making a change, ask yourself why you want to start making a change, and then go from there onwards. Okay. What are some of the habits that I feel have brought me the most success? I'll share those first, and then we can talk about some things that are related to you. So the first one that brought me a lot of success is something called the Pomodoro Technique. Okay. Are you all familiar with the Pomodoro Technique? Right? Some of you all are. So the Pomodoro Technique is a beautiful technique for focused work. How many of us find it difficult to focus on our work when you're working? Yeah, exactly. Right? So the way to think about it is that very often distractions come in. And as a result, our distractions preoccupy our mind. We don't get the focus work done. Something that should take us half an hour takes us 4 hours. It's a waste. So the Pomodoro technique is beautiful. And I wrote my entire book just using this Pomodoro technique. In fact, all my podcasts are written using this Pomodoro technique. What you do is you set up a timer for 20 minutes or 25 minutes. You can choose. And what you do is for those 20 minutes or 25 minutes, you set up a timer. I'm just repeating for, um, you set up a timer for 20 minutes or 25 minutes. And for those 25 minutes, you only do one task. Okay. That means all other distractions have been put off. You've switched off your phone, you switched off your email, no notifications, nothing. And you can take this to a more advanced level. If you get distracted by something, if a notification comes, if you start checking WhatsApp, you have to restart the Pomodoro and start from the top. Okay, so that is one small punishment that is built into the system if you want. But then after the 20-25 minutes, you take a 5-minute or 10-minute break. You get up, you walk around, you jump around, drink some water, and then you come back, and then again next 20 minutes, your focused work. So what you're doing is you're breaking your day up into small tasks, and you completing them. And every time you finish 4 or 5 of these Pomodoros, you can then take a half an hour break or a 20-minute break. You can take a longer break. Go talk to your children, finish all your phone calls that you had, come back and then start again. This way, you're very structuredly focusing on the work that needs to be done instead of getting distracted by all the stuff that's taking place in life. Especially now with our digital life, how much distractions come in. It's actually crazy, right? So you have to learn to create these almost focused work times for ourselves. So Pomodoro technique is something that has definitely helped me with my success. The second is a voracious need almost for knowledge. Okay. And this is born from my own intention of being perpetually curious about everything. I'm curious about everything. You and I can have a discussion of almost any topic under the sun because I would love to know more about it. And that is where I think a large part of my success has come from. So some of you listen to the Habit Coach podcast, and all the podcasts start with fun fact of the day. Why do I start with the fun fact of the day? Because that is my curiosity and my personality coming out and putting it there, right? So that curiosity makes me read 50, 60 books a year. It makes me listen to lots of podcasts. It makes me watch tons of YouTube videos because I'm constantly assimilating the knowledge. And then what we do is we process that knowledge. Very often we don't process it. We just get the knowledge and then we sit on it. So you receive knowledge, you process it, and then you act on it. And this processing and acting makes that knowledge valuable. Till then, it is only intellectual knowledge. Till then, it is only knowledge that you use to show off to your friends. But if you want to make successful with that knowledge, you have to learn this process of analysis and then action. Okay. So that was the second thing that really made a big difference in the way that success changed for me. The third one was being myself. The habit of being yourself is something that is difficult to do, scary to do, but essential to do. Very often we feel that this person will judge me this way, this person will think of me this way, this person will, how will they do? And especially now that you guys are going to become public faces, public people, helping others, you are going to feel evaluated. You are going to feel criticized. You're going to feel judged. And when we wear a mask and we go, people cannot actually connect with us. And as a result, they feel that we are fake. When you truly understand who you are and showcase that with all your flaws, with all your idiosyncrasies, with all your madness, that is when people start falling in love with you. And that sense of honest self and that habit is very, very important to come. Now, how do you create a habit like this? Pomodoro chalo easy. You put 20, 20, 20. Reading chalo easy. You can do, I will read 1 page a day. How do you start becoming comfortable with yourself? You do this by taking every single opportunity to be in front of people and talk. So even like on these sessions that you have with Imran right now are the perfect opportunity to be yourself without filters, right? Without a mask on. Be your genuine self. Come with that caring attitude. Come with who you are, and use this opportunity to share, talk, unmute, talk. This is the way in which you actually start showcasing yourself. All that baggage that we have in the back saying, this kind of person should not be doing this, this kind of person should, slowly starts fading away. You will start seeing people interacting with you and being so friendly with you. And you're like, oh, this is so much nicer than what I thought life would be like. So when I started being myself without trying to intellectualize things, without trying to show off things, I became comfortable almost anywhere in the world. Whether I'm talking on a stage, whether with friends in a party, whether I'm in a group of complete strangers. And for me, my success was defined by all these kinds of things. After that first initial bout, which I top code on because I was chasing money, I realized that Baba is not what I want. I want something else. So all these were aspects of my definition of success. And this is how you can slowly start building these habits into your life. Like I keep telling people message me saying that, Ashdin, I'm so petrified of doing public speaking. I'm so petrified of talking in front of groups. I had to make a presentation in college today and my paper was shaking in my hands and I didn't know what to do. Right. And I said, that's because you haven't taken enough opportunities to be in front of a group. Next time you're at a wedding and they have to announce everybody come for dinner, you should be the person standing on stage saying, ladies and gentlemen, dinner has been served, please come. You should take every opportunity to do that. And that again leads you to that success because you're putting yourself outside your comfort zone, right? You're stretching your comfort zone, you're making it harder, and hence you're reaching there. So in this way, you can start creating little habits that move you to success. The last thing I want to talk about is what happens to a habit. Okay. Now you might say, I'm going to add one habit, but in truth, habits don't like staying isolated. Okay. They like having groups. So one habit joins with another habit, joins with another habit, joins with another habit. And then what you suddenly have is a string of habits, which we call routines. So the idea is to now have success routines, have lots of habits that move you to success. And then what starts happening is that we start putting emotions on these routines. Okay. How many of us cannot survive without our morning chai? If we don't have a morning chai or coffee, everybody in the family, you better watch out, right? We have that emotion that life is not going to be good if we don't have that morning coffee. That means what? We put an emotion on that habit. We put an emotion in that morning routine, and that becomes a ritual. So ideally, imagine if you can start creating success rituals that you start doing every day that charge you up with this energy that's going to make you ultimately lead to that success. And this is the way that you can start thinking about your journey. Your habits, tuck, join together to form routines. And then you put your emotions on it. And ultimately, you form this ritual. You can templatize habits. Okay, I'm crunching a lot of information because I know you can soak it up. We can templatize habits. What does that mean? You create a system for the way things get done, right? For example, for my podcast, there is a structure that I follow. We start off with a fun fact of the day. Then we talk about the problem. Then we talk about why is the problem bad for you. Then we talk about a solution. And then we say, so your super simple habit for this. There's a structure. That means what I've done is I've simplified this habit so that it can be rolled out faster and faster and faster. The first time I wrote a podcast was 2 hours. Now I write a podcast in 25 minutes. How does that happen? Because of obviously practice, but then creating the systems in place so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. And that is when you suddenly realize that, wow, now life is getting in place. Because ultimately, quite honestly, all human beings are creatures of habits, creatures of routines. We love routines. And if you can consciously choose the routine that you have, if you can consciously choose the habits that you have, you'll be living a conscious life. And isn't that beautiful? Isn't that what we all want? A successful, conscious life. So start with this, start with your success, understand your intention, follow the three golden rules of habit change: stupidly small, extremely easy, never miss 3 days in a row. And then keep adding to this and give yourself time and patience. And success is not just guaranteed, but it's inevitable. And that's how we should go. So, what we can do now, Imran, we can jump into the question answer session. I think we are good on time. Let's jump into the question answer section
Yes.
by figuring out one, what are habits that you've always wanted to create and found it difficult, or any other questions that you had from this
Sorry,
chapter.
as in, this is really profound. Every single word you said, it's worth, a billion meanings out of it if you can actually take action, and it's all golden nuggets is what I can call. How many of you agree with me? Give me a big yes if you agree with me on that. Because I know we always talk about the power of words, Dr. Asden, and what we really realize is now the words is something which we got stuck with. We are stuck with motivation. Now we got a new dimension of looking at it, the intention part of it. Can you see how profound it is? And we were all talking about habit, but it is the win of a habit is when it becomes a routine. This is really amazing, and I'm loving this conversation. I don't want you to stop, but I have a question I want to ask on behalf of everybody, because today morning when I was taking confirmation for today's session, I asked them, what is that one habit you want to include in your life and everything? And see, somewhere down the line, I was actually thinking, I wrote for myself, okay, read more books, but this is what I want. But what are the habits which you suggest that everyone should be following? What is that universal habits which you should have it?
So the universal habits, like you said, those six foundations, I think are extremely important, because the way that I created the Awesome 180 structure was that if you get these six foundations in place, you can build a tall skyscraper on it. If you don't get these six foundations in place, what you get is the Leaning Tower of Pisa, right? The foundation has collapsed and phushuk, the entire tower is leaning to one side. What are these six fundamentals? The first fundamental is you focus on your nutrition. What is nutrition? The building blocks of your body, the building blocks of your brain, right? We normally focus on something called diet, not nutrition. What are the building blocks of diet? The first three words, DIE. Do we want to really think about that? No. So we do not think about diet. We instead think about nutrition. Are we giving our body solid food that is going to build it, is going to create better body cells in our body? The second is movement, because our body craves movement. We have sedentary lives, especially the jobs that we're doing, especially if we're going to be sitting, analyzing, we're going to be spending a lot of time sitting. So, how do we get movement into our days? Do we use a standing desk? I had half a mind of standing and doing this entire chat today. How can we start using these techniques and tools to make ourselves healthier? So you can standing desk. You can do something called a Tabata workout. So on my YouTube channel, we have something called Tabata, Tabata. So the YouTube channel is called Awesome 180, and just search for Tabata there, and you'll find it. And it's just a 4-minute workout that you all can all follow along with me. It's so simple to do, but you're adding at least 4 minutes of movement into your day, which would have never otherwise happened. Correct? So in that way, you start focusing on the second one, which is movement. Third is sleep. Like Imran said, we don't focus on the quantity of sleep. We're so stuck on that 8 hour thing. God knows why we're stuck on 8 hours. It's actually not a good number for us to be sleeping 8 hours. We should be either sleeping 6 hours or 7.5, not 8. So don't focus on quantity. Focus on the quality of the sleep that you're getting. Do you feel refreshed when you wake up? Do you feel like you can take over the world when you wake up? That is more important for me. Then comes the idea of de-stressing. Imran, this is so important. We are being taught throughout our life something else. We've been taught what? Stress management, right? Stress management is I can have handle more stress. But the idea is not to have stress at all, or to be able to get stress and then let it go by the side of the road and move on ahead with life. So de-stressing is the goal. How do you get rid of the stress in our life is the goal, not I can handle more stress because I'm strong. So de-stressing is critical. Then comes two parts which almost all of us fail at. One is called hydration. We can live without food for longer than we can live without water, yet we don't drink enough water. Our body is 75% water. Why don't we drink it? Correct? So, hydration, eating the right foods that keep us hydrated, very, very critical. And the last one is breathing, because breathing is the way that your energy system works in our body, right? You can live without food for many, many, many days, weeks, months. You cannot live for without water for more than a few days. But breathing, you can't beyond, say, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes. Correct? So as a result, you need to focus on breathing and the way we breathe. And all of us breathe wrong and shallow because nobody teaches these things to us. So how will we learn this? Okay. So these 6 fundamentals, if you focus on, you can make a tremendous change and shift in our life.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. How many of you found value out of this six golden nuggets we took? Because I had this question. I hope I represented everybody for the question. So now it's time for you to ask questions. So type in your question on the chat box. That will be very quick. But initially, what we can do is actually, type in your name so we can actually, unmute you and you can actually have a conversation with us. But in the process, you can also type in your question. That will also make it faster because the idea is to answer as many questions as possible. And meanwhile, when we have the next question coming up, so who's going to be asking questions or you're all typing? So as in, how do we get in touch with you? That's a very important question. Particularly, please share. I was also knowing that, I was insisting, Asdin should actually develop this module and bring it on so that we can actually use this in our life and apply it. Because in just one conversation, if we could able to relate with Asdin so much, I think we need to have a deeper understanding about all the action. How many of you agree with me on that? Give me a big yes if you agree with me on that. So I think, Asdin, how do I reach out to you? How do my community people can connect with you? You were working on a program, right, which you can watch as a recorded session. So tell us a little bit about that program.
Lovely. So the website is awesome180.com, right? The idea was how to become awesome in 180 days. So awesome180.com. And you can start off on that website by taking a quick habit quiz and seeing which of your habits are in place, which are not in place. That's one. Like you, Imran, fully inspired by you, we created our first coaching program.
Amazing.
And early on, it was all one-on-one. And as a result, you can't reach too many people in one-on-one. It is just like, for privileged few, I wanted a lot of us to be able to use this. So we created a habit masterclass where we not only talk about the golden rules, but we then develop them into 7 other aspects. How do you start habit tracking? How do you get accountability partners? How do you get over bad habits? All those kinds of things in this masterclass. It's a 3-day masterclass, very simple to do and follow. So that is up. We're creating one on the perfect morning routine because that is critical. The start of your day is absolutely essential. So that is one way that you can. Tons of free stuff for you all. So the Habit Coach podcast is a place that you can go and listen to, get answers to all these aspects as well. How do you listen to podcast? Any place that you listen to music. So Spotify, Ghana, Savan, all of them. If you just search for the Habit Coach or if you search for my name, you'll find it. Go for a
Nice.
walk, listen to the podcast. I think that way you'll get 2 good habits happening simultaneously.
Yeah, and I think that's a great idea. Those of you drive to offices, okay, so instead of listening to radio, actually you can actually tune in and listen to one podcast on one way forward, another way back. As in, actually, that was one more question. But before that, I have a question on the chat box. I have Shahin Taj who's asking a question. What is your idea of de-stressing? How do you do it? As in, so
Lovely. Firstly, I love that name. First time I'm hearing it. Superb. So the way to de-stress is to understand. So normally this is a 1.5 hour thing that workshop that I conduct for people, but let me break it down very simply. Our stress is nothing but our own individual reaction to an external stimulus. Okay. Our stress is nothing but our own individual reaction to an external stimulus. Say we are all in a restaurant, right? And 3 people run in with guns. Every single person is going to have a different reaction. Somebody's going to throw a plate at that person. Somebody's going to hide behind another person. Somebody's going to duck in the chair. Somebody's going to jump up and scream. Someone is going to run. The stimulus was the same, but each person had a different reaction. So as a result, when you realize this, you can realize that you have a ability to choose your reaction. Normally, we believe that stress happens, we all start panicking and you're going to react the same way. No, you have the ability to choose your reaction. And once we do this, we realize that we can start taking action and changing it. So the rule of getting rid of stress is to start taking action. First, understand what's happening and then start taking action. So there are three types of stressors that happen in our everyday life. The first one is called chronic stress. Chronic stress is stress that has been there for many, many years, a longer period of time. So for weeks, this chronic stress is the stress that makes us feel dull, pulled down, and weight on our shoulders. Something family problem that's been happening in the past, marriage issue, this, that. Somehow we just can't figure out what to do about it. Also, we don't do anything about it because we're too scared. So the idea is do something about it and the stress goes away. So there are steps that you can follow for that. The second kind of stress is called acute stress. That means your life was going perfectly and suddenly out of the blue, something happened. You woke up, you had your morning coffee, you had a chai, you were perfectly happy, you were going to work, suddenly a car comes and hits your car, right? Acute stress, suddenly out of nowhere, something happened. Suddenly a angry client sends you a message, acute stress. How do you handle that? Because that is the stress that basically makes your body go into fight, flight, or freeze. So how do you treat that flight, fight, or freeze? And the third kind of stress are called mind worms. You know what mind worms are? When they go, that's one thought keeps running around your head. Why did that person say this to me at that dinner? What was they thinking? And then the next morning you're having a shower and you're still thinking about that. You know what? I should have said that to her at that point of time, and then I would have shown them. Right? That is called a mind worm. That is that stress, 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 stress. So these are the three typical kinds of stress. And once you follow a pattern of how to get rid of them, you find out so easy that you're not carrying all of this every single day with you. So, short answer, understand what your reaction is and change your reaction. Long answer is you have to figure out what to do for each of these three, which will probably require longer chat.
Surely, as in, and I think it is beautifully broken down, and I hope Shine, you got your answer. But yes, there's a deeper insight into it, and as Asdin said, it takes about 90 minutes of a conversation to do it. How do we access your masterclass, Asdin? Do you have any shorter links to reach out, or do you have any buttons on your website? If you can just share that with us.
On the website, online courses. So there's a
Okay.
button that there's online courses.
So the
Website.
website is awesome180.com. And then
.com.
on the main page, you'll find a button which says online courses. So go ahead, explore.
Correct.
And
If you're on your phone, it'll be in the hamburger menu on the side.
got it. Great. So one more question from the team. And I see a lot of love coming in, and I see a lot of gratitude also happening. And so there's the first question is, how do I wake up early in the morning? That's one some as a challenge. And the next question is, why is it difficult to break a habit? How to come out of it?
Lovely. So let's do the waking up early one first. So very often when we want to wake up early, like I said, you have to first figure out why you want to wake up early. Do you have something to do that you want to wake up early? Or you're going to wake up early and then twiddle your thumbs, right? So first you create the reason why you want to wake up early. The next step is, if you used to wake up at 8 o'clock every day, don't wake up at 5:30 suddenly. What you do is you change your alarm in half an hour increments. So from 8 o'clock, you make it 7:30. Once you're comfortable waking up at 7:30, you make it 7. Once you're comfortable with 7, you make it 6:30. Once you're 6:30, then you make it 6. So that way you're slowly, slowly, slowly getting into that region of time that you want to start waking up at. Okay. Why is this important? Because we're looking at you waking up early for the rest of your life. We're not looking at you waking up early to catch a flight. Right? When you want to catch a flight, you set an alarm for that early, and you don't have to wake up at 4 o'clock every morning for that. But we want you to wake up like this every single day. And soon you'll realize that if you do this, you'll also have to start sleeping early. Now you suddenly say, so I have to now start sleeping early also. And then your night routine will start changing. This is the way that you'll start looking at a macro picture and start seeing all these habits are now interlinked. Because I keep telling people that your perfect morning routine starts the night before. Perfect morning routine starts the night before. It doesn't start when you wake up. So you get the night before correct, and your morning is going to be perfect.
Amazing, amazing. awesome. Can you see how the power of language Asdin has? He's making everything so simple. So the best way to say thank you to Asdin would be to take action. How many of you agree with me? Give me a big yes if you agree with me on that. To take action, because it's just not about accumulating information. Remember, information requires action. Life requires participation, and you need to really put in action to get results. Amazing. This is really great. So the second question is, how do you break a habit?
Lovely. So you break the habit by doing the exact opposite of what I said for forming the habit. So how we had the 3 golden rules of habit change. So you do the exact opposite. So you make it as hard as possible to do. You make it as difficult as possible to do. Okay. So for example, typically, let's take an example that everyone understands, which is I want to give up smoking. Okay. Typically, we think of smoking as a bad habit, right? What do? I want to give up smoking. But you have an ashtray lying next to you. The smell of smoke is still there in the air. Your cigarette lighters on the table, right? Is it easy to just pick up a cigarette and start smoking? Yes, because probably you've hidden a few around the house. So what you have to do is first make it difficult to do. That means you get rid of all the ashtrays, you get rid of all the lighters, you get rid of all the things that make that smoking habit easy. Don't buy the cigarettes. Okay, if you say I'm outside and I'm going to smoke, fine. You don't have to be militant about it. But that way you start making it difficult. In the house, I will not smoke. Slowly, then you start extending it. Any habit that you want, you can start making it difficult this way. But, and there's a big, big, big but here. What I tell people is there is no such thing as a good habit or a bad habit. Okay? Because who is to judge that this was good for you or this was bad for you? Okay? Instead, think about habits that serve me and habits that don't serve me. Okay. For example, for some people, cigarette smoking is still serving them. They don't want to give it up, but their family is asking them to. Right? How many times have people have come to me saying that, I want to give up smoking, I want to give up smoking. Why do you want to? Because my family is telling me, do you want to give up? No, I love it. Are you think it's going to be successful? Not going to be successful. So that habit is serving a purpose for this person's life. For example, many times drinking, which we again think of as bad habit, is serving a purpose for people. I knew a client who used to come home every day from work and pour himself a drink. And he's like, Ashton, I want to give up this drink. Why are you having that drink? I'm having this drink because I feel that this is my full stop to the day. This shows me that my working day is over. Right? So that was the role that it was playing. What we did was we added enough other good habits that he never felt that he needed to have a stop to his day, that his day was not so stressful that he needed a stop to come home. So as a result, the drinking habit went to the wayside. Why? Because it didn't play a role anymore. So if the habit is still playing a role in your life, it's still doing something good for you, stick to it, because bad habits are nothing but crutches. If you broke a leg and you were using a crutch, and if I suddenly took the crutch and ran away with it, you will still try and walk and hobble. It'll be difficult, right? So I don't want to take away your crutch. Instead, I want to make that leg stronger. I want to make that leg heal. And we do this by adding more good habits to your life. And when you add more good habits to your life, or habits that serve you, the ones that don't serve you slowly stop and fall to the wayside. Making sense?
Amazing.
Lovely.
The questions are not ending, but we also have some of the teachers and facilitators here. I do have, interestingly, I have a lot of principals who are part of my community, and one of the principal has a question. They also come across students who are, not a habit but addiction towards games, and they're very difficult to get out of that, and especially parents are feeling helpless, and the academicians are feeling helpless. Can we have a little bit of insight into this?
Absolutely. One way of thinking about it is that, and it's a mental shift that we have to make, that it is not that the children are addicted to the games. Okay. It is that those games were designed to be addictive. Right? It's like you're giving somebody heroin and saying, look, this person, the bad person, is addicted to heroin. But like there's heroin in his system, he's addicted to it. These games were designed for that. And it's very difficult to break that kind of an addiction, because you're constantly looking for that next big thing, the next big thing, the next big thing that you're going to get. These games are designed like that. What is going to happen next? And that is that dopamine release that is being created. With Instagram and social media, some of us are addicted to social media, right? We keep scrolling, we keep scrolling, we keep scrolling. Why? Because it is designed to be addictive. So now a child you cannot explain this to. But what we have to do is we have to give different opportunities for that person to get a either serotonin release or a dopamine release. Okay, serotonin is your happy hormone, dopamine is your pleasure seeking hormone. Serotonin release, there was a study that was done where before class, all the children were sent out to the playground to play in the sun. And after playing in the sun, they were put into the classrooms. And this was a study done for ADD behavior. I forget how many years ago. But many children who showed behaviors of ADD changed and did not show that anymore after that morning play and exposure to sunlight. It's because so many of our children are deprived of that sunlight, in vitamin D nutrition, of course, but also because the light addiction is different. The blue light on the phone is very, very different from the sunlight that we get. And as a result, that changes the hormone structure in our body. They were more attentive in class. They were more communal in that sense. What's also happened is in recent days is that, especially during the pandemic in the last 2 years, we've also become screen oriented and not people oriented. So a large part of what we need to do for our children is also make the children people oriented. I know so many kids who are born during this pandemic years and they don't know how to socialize. They don't know what people are. They're scared of people. Those are the kinds of ownerships that we need to start taking. So you follow the principles of bad habits. You don't realize that Minecraft is playing a role in that child's life. It's giving him a sense of self-worth. We have to give him a different sense of self-worth. We have to show that there are different ways of getting that self-worth. We have to show that there are different ways of socializing, because like World of Warcraft, Minecraft, all of those are actually multiplayer games. They are technically looking for interpersonal interaction, but they don't know how to do it face to face. We have to start showing them that there is another way of doing this, not by saying you are banned from your phone, you are banned from this, I'm going to delete it. Because what happens when you start doing that? Then it becomes illicit. Then it becomes more tempting. Then it becomes more desirable. Then I will do other jhol to try and get it, which is not what we want to go down. So we have to show another route, and that is the way that I would think about doing this.
Amazing, amazing. What a beautiful insight. Can we hear a big applause for Ashdin there? He is a star. The way he, God has, blessed you with the beautiful sound, voice, and also the power of words is something which I really got present to when I have been interacting with you. And you have been very, very, big-hearted in terms of whatever I asked for. You were always been supporting, and in fact, this session was not designed for today. When I asked for him, he had other things planned up, but he did what has to be done and he shifted things, and you're here. I really like to acknowledge you. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful human being. And I'm really, really glad that I got in touch with you, and you're an awesome giver. That's what we all are here, and that's why we're able to relate to that. Can you hear a big applause for Ashdin there? Come on, everybody, show some love there. Come on. Awesome. So I want to now, questions are done. Now I want to give two people an opportunity to express your gratitude. Remember, we always follow that, let go of it. So acknowledge it if something is really nice and you took back. So go ahead, put your hand up. I'm going to unmute you and you can share your experience of how you were feeling and being here. So everybody say hello to Zulekha there. So Zulekha ma'am is a principal. Yeah, please go ahead. And rest of you can type in on the chat box. So yes.
Hello, Dr. Ashdin. It's wonderful listening to you. I'm really so impressed by the response you gave for the addiction of the game. I had a student, I have a student in grade 10 who's addicted and who's not open to the family or the friends circle. So the valuable inputs you gave, the exposure to the sunlight, what they are looking forward. It's not the addiction of the game, it's the other way around. It's a wonderful insight, and maybe with this knowledge I can help many more students to come out of this. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And that's a beautiful part about being a educator there, right? So So everybody say hello to Naveen there. Naveen, you want to say something there? Please go ahead.
Yes, yeah. Uh, Good evening, Ashdin and Imranji. Thank you very much. I'm actually amazed. There are a few things which were coming up, but it's like, clouds disappearing. So that's the kind of moment I got into. I've got 4 or 5 kids in my house. We're not a joint family, but these kids are behind me all the time. Their parents actually push them to me. So now I know what to do with them and get them, going to get out of the habit of leaving the phone somewhere and talking to me. And it's going to be very, very great time to spend with them now. So thank you very, very much. I'm really very happy that we got connected and we are able to, understand. Uh, the things are very simple to do, but we complicate it because of our experience. The burdens that we're taking, the things that we're doing, the way we've been having it, our education system. We have forgotten that things can be done in a very simple manner, and then the solutions are very, very easy to, put on. So thank you very much. I am really, really happy that I had an opportunity to, speak to you, hear you, and also learn a lot. Thank you very much. And Imranji, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Pleasure,
Naveen.
pleasure, pleasure.
Thank you.
Kamida. Thank you so much.
And I'm
And
listening,
as
I'm
in,
reading all
there's a,
these things in the chat. Thank you so much for that. Love it.
and the one of the habits which Sunita ji wants to develop is to listen to habit podcast regularly. Yeah, it's a great habit to build up on.
Fantastic habit, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, Divya ji, yeah, you want to say something? Please go ahead.
Hi, Ashden. Hi, Imran sir. It's really nice. I did not know that we had something planned up for our inner circle today. The moment that I got the information, I was very glad to connect with Ashden. I had listened to one of your podcasts when Imran sir had shared, during one of our meets. So that's when, I got to know about you also. Like, what impressed me in today's topic is how habits can turn into your routines and how routines can be taken through like rituals. And that connected me the most because when we are rooting something to rituals, that's when we do whichever way it is, you get going to fulfill that particular ritual. You put your mind, you put your heart, and you involve everybody, and that's when the energies do get bounded, be it a festival or anything. And when the habit can also be done as a ritual, that is something which was invited me to actually do it a little bit more to my students and my kids also. The second thing was like on the game that you said that, as Zuleka ma'am was also talking about releasing of the dopamine hormones and the serotonin. That was something which was very essential for students, So it's not just the screen time, but the other aspects that how children do look into. So thank you, Imran sir, and thank you, Ashton. So it was like great points. So we have made bundled of notes. So somewhere down the line, it's going to be useful for all of us and for our children and the students as well. Thank you once again.
Amazing, amazing.
Thank you. Bundles
Thank
of
you, thank
notes
you.
in beautiful handwriting, I'm sure. All of yours. Brilliant.
And one last, thank you so much. Yeah. Yes, Lakshmi ji, one last conversation. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hello, Ashdin. I think of all the things you said, I like this make it stupidly small rule the most. It's so simple, but it matters so much. So
Absolutely.
yes, I'm going to make it a point to note down everything like all the golden rules and the Pomodoro technique and all that. Yes, I'm going to apply it in my life. So especially I need to wake up early and all that. So the intention I'm going to write down. So I'm sure it's going to help me and my family members also.
Lovely.
Amazing.
Especially what are the things that are going to move you towards your success and what
Yes.
you define as that. That is the critical part.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Ashdin. Thank you.
Thank you
Imran
so
sir.
much, Lakshmi.
Thank you so much. And I also have a lot of requests coming in. I'm sure you're all reading, as in you're reading the text on the group. So go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, you can click pictures and you can tag Asdin on his Instagram. He has an amazing following and followers there, and you can also tag us there and keep the conversation alive so that you get notified every time he posts a new podcast. You actually get notified when you actually start following him on the Instagram there. Awesome. So as in, I don't have enough words to thank you. And thank you for taking some time and being here and making all these things possible for us, because we a lot of time we in the sessions we had this conversation. Imran, tell us something about routines, early morning rituals and things. But I said, no, hold on, we should get somebody who can actually do justice to this topic. And I'm so glad I made that decision of having you here today with me.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you asked me. And I'm happy that we could do it today.
Yeah.
I was feeling so bad that I had to say no because and push it to next week. I said, no, let me quickly be able to do it. So very happy.
Surely. Alkaji, you want to say something? I saw your hand going up.
Yeah, the name itself is awesome. I said awesome 180 is a good this thing to start with. So that makes a push. That already gives a push.
Absolutely. What's the point of having life if you can't make it awesome? No? You have to make it awesome.
That's
Awesome.
That's what touched. Thanks.
Great. So the best action everybody's going to take is get regular with your graphotherapy. No more excuses. No time Imran in the morning and no writing every day. And make sure everybody precisely follows the time, shares it on the group, and make things happen. Are you all there? Great. So Ashdin, thank you so much once again for being here. And we're going to continue this session because we have a couple of announcements and we have our regular routine to do it. But I can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
I can't really thank you enough.
Thank you so much. Guys, stay in touch. I'll reply to everyone on Instagram. So share there, do your own habit assessment, find out which habits need to work on and take it from there. Enjoy. Have a super meeting. Bye guys. Thank you so much, Imran.
Thank you once again. Let's bring applause for Ashdin. Come on, everybody. Give it up for Ashdin there. And thank you so much. It was really, really awesome vibrating with you.
Ta-da. Bye.